Assalamu alaikum, dear students. My name is Abid Bajwa, and I welcome you all to another English language lecture with me. But before I start today's lecture, I just want you to have a review of all the previous lectures which were already made to develop and enhance your English language skills for O levels in English language 1123. I have prepared the board, and today is the first lecture when I will be delivering this lecture on board. So you are actually basically accustomed to get my lectures on PPT files, but this is the first lecture I have planned to deliver on whiteboard. And today's lecture that has been planned is about formal letter in directed writing. For all those students who have already been watching my videos, they must have a detailed overview of all the essentials that were given and imparted in my previous lectures about directed writing. Directed writing, we come across this category of a piece of writing in English language 1123 paper 1 part. And in directed writing, the examiner may ask us a number of different categories to write a task on. It can be an informal letter, it can be a formal letter, or it can be report, it can be a speech or article, depending upon the given task. We must remember that we need to write our task around 200 to 300 words, and we need to be aware of certain things that have already been told to you, and today I'm just going to revise them. And by the way, earlier I delivered a lecture on writing an informal letter, but today I'll be talking about formal letters, features and essentials. I have just included some points to remember, and you can see that there are learning objectives W1, W2, W3, W4. Actually, as you can see that they range from 1 to 4, but I have intentionally included some other learning objectives so that you can enhance your writing as well. So just assume, before we start, you have to assume, and you will find a piece of writing that will be given to you to write, to practice on these things after the lecture. Just assume that you are going to write a formal letter for your directed writing part in O-level exams. What are some of the things that you need to be careful of? I have seen students that they just grab a piece of paper and a pen and then keep writing without making a plan. So this is where they are making a mistake. I suggest you all that before you write anything, whether it is a composition writing, whether it is a directed writing part, make sure you must have an idea that what is the planning or what is the strategy that you are going to adopt for that particular piece of writing. In the same way, there is another thing that you must know: what format are you going to follow? For example, if it's an account writing or a speech writing or a report writing, the formats are quite different. And as it has been observed constantly that students think, they assume that there isn't any particular format for any piece of writing, and then they just follow their heart, and consequently they make a mistakes. But coming back to the point, it's today's formal letters assignment. So W1, W2, W3 and W4 are learning objectives for today's lecture. So points to remember. I'm just pointing these things. What are the points to remember when you are going to write a directed writing part in general and a formal letter in particular? So starting from the first point to remember, communicate properly with a clear awareness of purpose, audience and register. I have always been giving you a mnemonic or any acronym that you can follow. I told you that there is a thing PART, P-A-R-D. P stands for purpose, A stands for audience, R stands for register, and T stands for your tone. So over here, you see, basically I have taken these things, these four learning objectives from Cambridge marking schemes for O levels. So make sure that before you write, you are well aware of the purpose. What is the purpose of your writing a letter? I remember a couple of days ago, I gave an assignment to my students about writing a report to principal, that how they are going to suggest ways to say goodbye to a teacher who is saying who is on fair going to retired from the school. And surprisingly, because why they were writing these reports, because the principal of the school was supposed to going to write a speech on that farewell party. But I have seen students, unfortunately there were students who directly wrote a speech. So where was the problem? The problem was they were not aware what they were going to do. They were not sure about the purpose. So make sure you must know what your purpose is. Your purpose, whether are you writing to persuade or to inform or anything. And make sure that whatever you're writing, you must have a clear and accurate and precise idea whether you're going to write a report, a letter, or informal one. So purpose is perhaps the most important thing. Until and unless you will not follow the purpose things, I'm telling you, all of your efforts will end in futility. Second thing is audience. Who is going to read your piece of writing, whether it is your principal, your friend, your parents, or anything. So if you will have a clear idea who your audience are, then only you will be able to follow and adopt the language or the tone you will use. And see, it is followed by register. Register is again related to the language tone or the appropriate vocabulary or the expression you will be using for a specific or particular audience. Second point is develop your bullet points clearly and coherently. Even the most brilliant students, they have been committing a mistake over here, that they start their task very impressively, but when it comes to developing and justifying bullet points, unfortunately, they are not able to justify properly. I have seen students writing a whole page for one bullet point, but when they jump to the another bullet point, it's only 3 to 4 lines. And by the way, if you write only 2 to 3 lines for a specific bullet points, so it's not developed. So you are going to, it's more likely you will lose some marks. And secondly, whatever justification or development you say, it must be coherent, organized, and must be relevant to the part. Use accurate spelling, punctuation, and grammar. I have spoken volumes on it. I have given you much information about how to be careful with your spellings. I remember I provided you spelling drills as well. Punctuations. I'll be making a video on punctuation, how to be careful with these things and the grammar mistakes. Now moving on to the fourth assessment objective is the use a varied range of vocabulary, sentence structure, and linguistic devices. You must write in accordance with your level. My dear students, you are right now studying in O level. So the examiner is expecting you an English vocabulary in accordance with your level, especially when you are going to write a formal letter. Like in today's lesson, after this, you'll be writing a formal letter in your revision. So make sure that try to avoid writing junior levels English language. For example, using a word good for a formal letter is not appropriate. This is what I personally think. Make sure your sentence structure is varied and linguistic devices. Appropriate format. I have already told you about how to be careful with your formatting, because they can be varied from piece of writing. Well organized and relevant. If you are going to talk balloony, you are going to write and write and write and signifying nothing. So make sure whatever you write, it must be directly relevant to the task given to you. Make sure most of the students in English O levels exams could not been able to achieve good marks? Because the reason is that they write irrelevant. Make sure write relevant and organized way. Justify and develop the points. I have given you already an idea. Proper salutation and signing off is another thing that students miss more often. Make sure, sometimes the candidates have been instructed in the introductory lines that start your or begin your piece of writing, your letter, your report with dear principal, for example, but they simply ignore it. So actually you are starting your piece of writing from a mistakes. So make sure you have to follow your salutation and signing off properly. Include introduction and rephrase question statement. This is a very good idea that I personally think can be very helpful, and it gives you a head start for writing a directed writing part. What? The basic thing is, when you are going to start your task, just take the introductory material already given or assigned to you and rephrase, reproduce, recreate into your own words, and with an intention that you are going to write your introductory paragraph. So it will leave a very good impression and it will give you a very good start. And just try it once and you will see that it works. The last one, but not the least one, is perhaps the most important, is view, review, view. I have observed students that they complete a task and then they just simply give it to the examiner without caring to read it. Make sure when you will review, English language is such a language that in which you knowingly or unknowingly you commit so many mistakes. When you will review it, you will come to know that there are some problems. So you will correct them, rectify them, and then you will review them and then view them. I hope that if you will follow some of these tips for writing a directed writing part, no matter it is a formal letter or it is a report writing or anything, it can help you a lot. I hope you would have enjoyed the lecture and it might have been useful for you. And if you have any question, you are free to contact me at my WhatsApp, or you can write me an email for the feedback. Thank you very much.